How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Crystalline. And once again, it's just time for us to continue this fantastic feel-good story. Real quick announcement, though. I'm leaving town. I've got some stuff to do, some friends. Pretty important, pretty awesome, cool stuff. But sadly, I'll be gone. I was intending on pre-recording Friday's episode of Seabed, and so you wouldn't have even known I was gone. Then I got sick last weekend. That killed all my free time because I was sleeping and recovering. And so now I've got no time left. I could try and squeeze it in tomorrow night, but I have to get up way early to catch a plane, so I'm just not even going to bother. So delay for Seabed. So I'm sorry. I'll be right back on schedule the following week. It's just not going to work. It was all planned out. It was all going to be perfect. And then next thing I know, I'm just snoozing away trying not to die. So, whatever. We'll figure all that stuff out. But regardless, we got this episode today, and we're going to have a fun time with it. I hope so, at least. I'm feeling a lot better, thankfully. So it should be top performance. And speaking of top performance, we've managed to make our way to Embermyth, which, no one even knew if it existed. We found it fairly easily. And I guess the professor we were talking to there, he had some theories about temporal rifts, but more importantly, he understood about the elementals. I guess they're these forces of power that are in control of things. Like, for instance, this one's supposedly fire. Ember, myth, fire, elemental makes a lot of sense. I guess they are the only beings in history in which not everyone agrees they're real. But those who do agree they're real, they seem to be the only things that can have enough energy in order to do a temporal rift. So maybe it's our way home. But like I pointed out last time, I don't know if I'd want to go home. I mean, granted, missing friends and family and all that stuff would be pretty bad. But it's a freaking world of magic. Wouldn't you want to stick around? But we'll find out a little bit more today. Maybe there's a darker side to it. And I'm guessing it's not going to be all that simple, or else this would be a way, way, way quick game. So, we met Kara. I think that was her name, right? She's like the rogue. I instantly was like suspicious of her because it seems too convenient she's here. But it does make sense that we have kind of a mutual goal. We have a mutual need. So maybe we can help each other out. She's cute, but that's the thing, is like she's a rogue. Her whole life revolves around potentially thievery, at least being kind of a trickster, and yeah, so I just can't take anything that she says at face value until we get to know her better, which I'm sure we will be able to. But I guess there's nothing else to it. Let's just jump right back in. So, as we left the city, we're kind of make our way to the temple via a secret entrance that Kara found. As we walk, another ominous rumble sends butterflies to my stomach. I can't shake off the feeling that we're literally walking into a fire. It's a freaking volcano. They seem really confident that the volcano's not going to do anything, but I'm skeptical it's a volcano. And it hasn't been doing stuff until recently that beholdens the potential eruption. I glance at the others who seem unfazed. I guess it's just me. Pushing my insecurities down, I silently follow the group towards the temple. Just as Elder Isam noted, the temple is a short walk outside the village on a well-worn dirt path. The road is mostly empty, with only one or two travelers coming back towards the village. So this village, that considers this a sacred holy place, has no issues with strangers going to it. I mean, it could make sense if I not. By the way, my cat is here, and it looks like he's decided to join us, because I thought he was going to sit in the windowsill this whole time, but he's climbing down, so I'm going to say hi. Hello! This is Prince. This is my little kitty. You okay? You look kind of grumpy. Say hi to everybody. Mwah. Love you. Hopefully he'll just curl up at my feet and do his thing, but there's a chance he'll run around. He's kind of more active right now because it's nighttime, and my boys, when they're asleep, it's like his prime time to get to do stuff without them interfering, because they love to kind of get in his business. So yep, he's just curled up right there, so he should be fine. Anyway, so let's continue. The temple is an open structure with a roaring fire in the middle of a grand hall. Ooh, that sounds pleasant. Ooh, that actually looks awesome. High columns of flames carved into them hold up the building. Adorning the stone walls are beautiful tiled mosaics. Music's probably not too loud, is it? I don't think it's too loud. I think I've managed the configuration right. Like, it's kind of weird. It doesn't seem to. It's overstimulating. Like the right side of the slider almost feels like it doesn't do anything, and then the left side seems hypersensitive. So we'll keep moving on. Anyway, high columns of flame with carved into them with the building, adorning the stone walls are beautiful tile mosaics. There's one wall with some strange symbols scratched on them. They're very faded, and I have to squint to make it out. From what I can make out, 4 symbols surround a darkness in the square, with a line of fire enclosing the perimeter, trapping the darkness in its center. Huh, I wonder what this is. Amelia glances over, then peers at the carving.
Those symbols represent each of the magical elements.
Okay. Even though the fire seems to be the only one that's contained, she points to each one.
There is fire, water, earth, and wind.
Nice. So she points to the center.
In that is shadow.
Oh, that makes sense. I've never considered shadow an element before.
It is one of the elemental magics.
Makes sense. Kara, Zach, and Liana have already moved on, so the rest of us hustle to catch up. Besides us, the only other people in the temple are monks who care for it. They're dressed in woven red robes, the same open and loose style as villagers from Evermist. Quietly, they shuffle back and forth, sweeping the floor and relighting any of the smaller fires which have burned low. Hello, Mr. Pongo. Of course you're here. The Pongo looks around in wonder and reverence. At the side of the giant flame, he squeaks and hops up on me, claiming his spot on my shoulder. Pixel Fade, if you're selling Pongo plushies, I would be interested in one. It'd be great to have a little mascot for the room. I'm also thinking of getting a plushie for a plushie of a beta, but we'll talk about that another time. Kara bows briefly before a large flame and leads us to the back of the chamber and stops in front of an empty wall.
We're here.
Alright, Kara. Kara. See, she's too happy, she's too cute, there's just too much there. Zach sighs. Maybe we made a mistake. Secret passage? Kara might be a little out there, but I don't get the impression she's stupid. There must be more to the wall than meets the eye. Is there a mechanism in somewhere that triggers a doorway? Kara's eyes glitter.
Bingo!
I mean, maybe I'm just a little biased. You know, I grew up playing D&D, watching, reading like fantasy novels. Like, of course, that's what it is. With her gaze fixed on us, Kara pushes the brick, and a segment of the wall pushes in and swings open. She waves at the opening with a flourish. So, are any of the monks paying attention? And will they have a problem with this?
Ta-da!
How did you know which brick to push in?
It usually depends, but in this case, there's one brick that sticks out slightly more than the others. If you weren't looking for it, you won't see it.
Yeah. She heads through the opening and pushes the wall closed behind us. Because, you know, it's not like that doesn't happen in normal buildings. But, yeah, hey, you know what? She found it. I mean, it works. She then led us down the winding stone staircase, which ended at the beginning of a narrow passage. We file in behind her, and she carefully picks her way down the hall. Ooh, this place. How is it lit? It's a very plain stone hallway with wall sconces lighting the way. How are they lit? I looked down at my feet and noticed a brick with an X marked on it. Oh, she's already been down here. Now that makes sense. Avoid it! I have a feeling X did not make its way into the stone by itself. I better not touch it. Gingerly, I step around the brick. A few feet away, I spot another X. Is anyone else seeing these random X's? Kara glances back.
I should hope so. I left those there so as not to set off the same traps again.
Bingo. Makes sense. We resume walking. The deeper we travel, the more X's I notice. Wow, there are a lot of traps in here. Zach pouts, not pouts. he might be pouting in his broody way. Zach pauses in front of the corridor where the walls are covered in X's.
Why are there so many X's on this wall?
Kara looks down the same passageway.
Oh, it's a 2-part trap.
She points at the stone on the ground with some X markings.
Basically, if you step on the ground stone, it triggers thick bars to shoot out from all the X's in the wall and block the path.
Ishka. That doesn't sound too bad.
Only if you know how to limbo. The bars have something keeping them hot and will burn you if you touch it.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Okay, that sounds worse.
And you were able to cross that?
Kara winks.
I am very limber.
Moving on. Zach looks at Kara with interest. Down, boy! Amelia looks between Zach and Kara.
Based on the dilation of Zach's pupils, it appears that Kara's flexibility is attractive to him.
Oh, thank you, Amelia. I had a feeling I was reading the room right, but you've clarified such. Zach is taken aback.
I was just thinking that it's a useful skill set to have.
Kara has a mischievous glint in her eyes. Oh, gosh. It's a little too forward, but hey, you know what? By all means, Kara, go for it.
Useful skill set to have. In what context?
Oh, all the contexts. The best context. Zach frowns.
For scouting and navigating, you've done a thorough job mapping this place out and marking the traps.
Leanna looks amused.
Zach, was that a compliment?
He glares at Leanna.
No, an observation.
And a complimentary observation. Kara smiles playfully.
Then thank you for the observation.
Ugh. So, duh. Zach falls into silence while turning away. I think that's the most I've ever heard him talk in a 30-second span. We continue through the tunnels. Sexual tension aside, eventually she stops in front of another well of fire in the middle of the hall.
The barrier's here.
She gestures at the swirling metallic wall behind the well. The way that it glitters as it wisps and curls almost looks like a fire. Leanna and Amelia step closer and inch their hands in front of them before gingerly touching the barrier.
It's surprisingly solid for something that looks so gaseous. Maybe there's some wind magic interwoven with whatever other magic is here.
It could be, if it's a really powerful barrier, it could be a ultimate barrier. Like, maybe it incorporates the powers of all 5 elements, making it so that you would need effective mastery of all of them in order to actually pass the wall. That would limit it to, what do they call them? Like, there's a certain term for people who mastered all of them, or at least all the 4 main ones. The Pongo hops forward with stars in his eyes. Is the Pongo gonna save us? Is he gonna eat the barrier?
Hi.
He dashes straight for the barrier.
Pongo, wait!
I stretch out my arm and race after him. No, Pongo, don't! Pongo, no! Instead of running into the wall, the Pongo passes straight through and out of sight. Why, cruel world? Why? Stay calm. Stay calm. Leanna gasps and rushes to the wall.
Pongo? Oh no! What if something happens to him?
I step over and put a hand on her shoulder to calm her down. He's a scrappy and resourceful Pongo. I'm sure he'll be okay.
I suppose so.
Leanna bites her lip and stares anxiously at the barrier.
Pongo.
We have got motivation now. Let's get through this wall. A blue head pops out from the barrier. What? He hops the rest of the way out.
Poi, poi.
Leanna scoops him up in a hug.
Pongo, you're back safe. Poi.
After a second, the Pongo wiggles out of her arms and rushes back to me. Leanna pouts, then refocuses on the barrier. I'm sorry he loves me more. It's what happens. Our cat was the same way. Like, when we brought him home the first time, he just would never leave me alone. He always wanted to be around me. He always wanted me to be snuggling him. And my wife was trying to snuggle him, and he just kept pushing her away and wanted to come to me. Aww. Amelia places both her hands on the back of the barrier while Leanna holds out her manipulator.
Whatever is beyond this wall hosts a plethora of energy.
I just realized something. So she has her, like, gauntlet that's supposed to help channel magic. Amelia doesn't seem to have that. Does she channel magic so differently? Leanna nods.
My manipulator confirms that. No wonder the Pongo ran in there.
Zach continues to hang back and observe, but Kara steps closer to the barrier.
But how did he even pass through?
That is a good question. Leanna shrugs. Amelia continues staring at the wall, moving her hand up and down.
I do not recognize this magic.
She frowns, deeply disturbed.
Is there anything you can do to break it?
Let's see.
Leanna and Amelia both put their hands on the barrier and their manipulators glowing. Okay, so she has manipulators, it just looks different. Maybe it's the bracelets? The rings? I don't know. These transmit pulses of magic which disperse across the surface in a shimmering wave. I think they're trying to create stress fractures to crack the wall. After a few tries, Leanna sighs in frustration and steps back.
Amelia, stand back.
Another good idea this could be is like most people would think that a magical barrier would be overcome by magic, and thus like but maybe it's like an anti-magic barrier. Like the more force you put into it, the more powerful it becomes. You know, kind of like Newtonian fluids. Like they're fluidic in behavior, but the more force you put into them, the more solid they become. She wordlessly obeys. Leanna gathers energy at her gauntlet and strikes the barrier with an empowered strike. Suddenly, golden lettering forms on the barrier. Well, that's convenient. Absolve your world to enter mine. Absolve your world. Give up your world? Or maybe give up, like put away their magic or leave their manipulators behind? What does that mean? No one answers. Amelia steps forward and focuses on the well of flickering flame.
If I am interpreting this message correctly, we must part with our most precious possession, our world, and throw it in the fire.
Sorry, Pongo, you gotta go. Or like, oh, that's actually really sad to think about. And then like, it made me think of, spoiler alert for Avengers, the Infinity War ones, like how like to get the soul gem, like he had to throw his most precious possession into like the pit. Oh yeah, though, let's not be sacrificing people in the pyre. Leanna nods thoughtfully.
Kind of like we're freeing ourselves.
Kara's face drains of color as she clutches at her pack.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, what about me? I'm a little weird. Maybe like the Pongo, I can just pass through. We stand around awkwardly until Leanna clears her throat.
If that's what we need to do, then it seems easy enough. I'll go first.
Gauntlet. So she'll put in her gauntlet, Zach puts in his destructors, Kara will put whatever she has. What am I gonna put in there? I don't have anything. Leanna, here, I gotta put you in the fire, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's give me a try. I'm guessing whatever my prized possession is not gonna be as valuable as yours. We're doing this for me. I should be the one to go first. Leanna blinks, but I step up to the fire before she can object. What do I choose? My waifu? Oh no! Oh no, I think... Oh no! The wallet's probably the right answer. Not Pongo. My waifu? I have to click it! I have to click it! Fortunately, I do not have a waifu at this time. I look over at Leanna, who blinks when she meets my gaze. Yeah. Oh no! Oh no! That's freaking amazing. Well, despite the fact that Pongo truly is the correct answer, I don't think that'll work. I think we're going to have to put our wallet in because it holds our money, our ID, it's our identity, it's kind of our thing tying us to our old world besides our playing cards. I fish in my pocket and grab my wallet. My entire identity is here. My license, student ID, credit cards. The thought of parting with it makes my chest hurt. Reluctantly, I toss into the fire and watch the flames lap it up. Then I steel my resolve and slowly step forward. As I cross through, I feel a tingle of energy and hear a crackle of electricity. There's a bright light blinding my vision, and I have a flashback to my crossing to Terra. My foot lands on solid ground as I pass through the barrier unharmed. Yes! I had a feeling. Gradually, my eyes adjust to the dim light, and I see that I'm in a cozy room. Oh, hello! Oh, hello. Hello, Wolfie. In the middle of the room is a fox, who swishes its tail as it observes me. Beside it is a beautiful woman with flaming red hair. Her delicate hand rests atop of the fox's head. Ooh, fox. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, once again, like where's the button that lets me... There we go. Dang. Art is phenomenal, as always. As I look her over, her gaze lands on me. Who are you? Oh, that's a smile. The woman blinks at me, then smiles. For a second, I think the flames lighting the room flicker and warmth permeates my body. It's pleasant, like an embrace. Although she holds my gaze, she doesn't speak. How did you get in here? Again, she remains silent, but this time she takes a step closer.
Who are you talking to?
Huh? I peek behind the woman and see Zach standing with an eyebrow raised and his arms crossed. The rest of my companions pause in their inspection of the room and stare at me. Kara stands beside an altar while Amelia and Liana are both kneeling by the fox. The fox accepts their attention, rhythmically swishing its tail, but otherwise makes no move to respond. Instead, it fixes its attention on me.
Are you talking to the fox?
No. Hey, the woman between me and you. Are you seriously not seeing the random woman standing between us? The group looks at each other.
Are you sure it was safe to pass through that barrier?
Zach glances at Amelia. She shrugs.
That's reassuring.
Who exactly are you seeing?
A girl with red skin wreathed in fire. There's a woman dressed in red. She's kind of flamey. She has flamey, great descriptor there. And she's standing right there with her pet firefox. Nana looks toward the fox, but her eyes glaze right over the woman. She furrows her brow concerned.
Okay.
Her voice is gentle, like she doesn't want to spook me. None of you guys can see her. The group collectively shakes their heads. I don't know why you guys can't see her, but I promise you she's there.
Boy.
The pongo hops out from behind my leg. He first examines the woman with partial interest, then he stares in wonder at the fox.
Boy?
The fox cocks its head to the side and observes the pongo. The pongo perks up and cautiously bounces forward. He pauses right before the fox. The fox's nose wiggles as it sniffs the pongo, then it swishes its tail and the pongo squeaks before running back behind my legs.
Boy.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Foxy. Oh, wait, did you see her too?
Boy.
Lemon giggles at the pongo and gently pats his head. He shivers happily at her touch. She's a lot closer than I thought. Then she straightens up and takes a step closer. Her feet don't touch the ground, and her skirt floats ethereally behind her. Instinctively, I back away.
What's going on?
She's getting closer. A lot closer. She pauses once she draws near and touches her palm to my forehead. A pulse of warmth flows through me before she retracts her hand. As if something inside me clicked open, I feel invigorated with restored strength. The stronger I feel, the more translucent the woman becomes. Soon, she disappears. Pongo stares at me with renewed interest. It reminds me of that same look he gave me when we first met. Ooh, have we just been granted fire magic? He licks his lips. Don't even think about it.
Boy.
The Pongo pouts and lets out a sigh. Kara waves her hand in front of my face.
Hey, are you okay? You kind of zoned out there for a second.
I think I might have ate the fire woman. I think I'm fine.
What happened?
I'm not too sure.
Where's the woman now?
Actually, she's gone. Amelia reacts to my words by playing with her bracelets. She holds her manipulator up to me.
Curious. I may have a theory.
What is it?
All the energy which had accumulated here has now gathered within you.
Oh boy. I blink as it takes me a minute to register what she just said. Wait, I absorbed the energy. That can't be right.
As I mentioned, it is merely a theory.
How? Why? Most importantly, why? Liana looks intrigued.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I felt it after she touched me. Liana's eyes widen.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
Oh, come on. Not in a weird way. She just touched my forehead and suddenly I felt a rush of energy. Amelia stares hard at me. Why are you looking at me like that?
I am merely anticipating the imminent reaction.
What, am I supposed to explode into flame? Reaction to what?
The high concentration of energy you just absorbed. The human body was not meant to process such large quantities of energy.
Oh, so you really think I'm gonna just go off like a Roman candle?
At least, that has certainly been the trend with someone from Terra.
Well, I think she's on to us. Amelia's gaze bores into me as she emphasizes the word Terra. Then she looks back down at her manipulator.
Although, 2 minutes have passed, and there seems to be no sign of an adverse reaction.
I can think of a medical physical reason for it, because maybe we're not completely, like, quantumly gridlocked to this world, thus we have, like, kind of an outlet for that energy, perhaps? Why does she sound so disappointed? Suddenly, Kara squeals as she gingerly picks up a rusted coin out of the remains of the little satchel.
This is a genuine Vestin coin!
Zach glances at the coin and follows his arms, clearly unimpressed.
How much could a rusted, outdated coin be worth?
Oh, I'm sure that one's probably worth a lot.
About a few hundred gold pieces.
Zach's demeanor instantly changes.
You don't say.
Coins. Kara smoothly pockets the satchel as Zach covertly searches the room. As Kara finishes up her inspection of the room, Liano looks around.
Well, since we found what we came for, we should head back.
Kara nods and leads the way out. As we leave the room, we notice the fire, which had previously glowed in front of the barrier, was now gone, but all our items were still intact. Hey, nothing was burned in here.
Curious. Then it can be assumed that the purpose of this trial was not to destroy our possessions, but to test our willingness to sacrifice.
I'm guessing that because I elected to go first, I kind of missed everyone else sacrificing all their prized possessions. Kara happily scoops out her coin purse.
I'm not complaining.
Leanna smiles in relief as she reaches in and quickly collects what looks like a ring attached to a thin chain. See, I get to now kind of see what they sacrificed.
Let's keep going.
The rest of us snatch up our items and continue back to the corridor. The trek out of the temple is a lot faster and easier than the trek in, also because there are no obstacles to stop us. We pop out the same hidden wall in which we entered. Just as before, the main ceremonial hall is empty. We wave goodbye to a couple of monks sweeping the entryway, then begin to walk back to the village. Well, that was short. Ask Kara who the vestiges were, ask Amelia her theory about the mysterious woman is. I don't feel like talking. I kind of want to talk to Kara. Let's see what she's like. I follow step with Kara. So, who exactly were the Vestians?
They were the original tribe of Ember Mist, and the initial keepers of the Fire Temple.
Did they build the temple? Kara shrugs.
It depends on who you ask. Some experts believe they did. Others think the temple was already there by the time the Vestians came about.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm sometimes a little too good at this. Now I'm curious. How did you get into treasure hunting? She pauses just a little too long before flashing me her usual cheerful grin. Incoming lie.
I just sort of fell into it, honestly. Treasure hunting naturally fit into my nomadic lifestyle.
Where did you learn all the history to even identify relics?
You'd be surprised how much you pick up along the way, especially after you realize what a lucrative business this can be.
So you're just in it for the money?
I didn't say that. I'll admit that at first I was just in it for the money. But the more I learned about the ancient people of Asaria, the more invested I became in the history of each relic I found.
So, pretty skilled and a history buff. Nice.
I started to find myself daydreaming about who might have used the items I found. What kind of person were they? Did they cherish this item, or was it just another piece of their ever-growing collection of stuff?
That could get into the interfering with your ability to make money, though. That's a cool way of thinking. You're more than meets the eye. That seems like a foolish way. That's a cool way of thinking. I've never thought about it like that before. Maybe if I had, I would have paid more attention in history class. To be fair, I had some history teachers that were really impactful on me, and that was because they took history and they made it real. I had a history teacher in 7th grade where we were studying ancient Egypt, and we actually procured some dead animals, some chicken. Like he procured 2 chickens, a duck, and a hedgehog that had recently passed, and we actually mummified them. Like we went through the embalming process, where we took out their organs, put them in preservation jars with the proper salts, mixtures, and everything, and wrapped them up, and he just kept them in his room. And that's the thing, is the part of the whole concept of doing the embalming process makes it so that they don't really rot away. And that meant they didn't stink. And so even though they just sat in his classroom, you'd never know. It was really cool just to be able to make it real. It sounds creepy when I explain it, but trust me, it was one of the most fascinating ways to learn about Egyptian history. And then I had future my history teachers in high school. I had one in particular who he actually had won a contest, like a raffle or some kind of lottery. I'm not really exactly sure, but he won a really expensive car, which he just sold, and he kind of put aside to kind of help make it so that he could focus less on having to keep up with his bills and more just to be able to live. And a big thing he started spending money on is collecting World War II relics. World War I as well, but he was really interested in World War II relics. And that meant that when we covered World War I and World War II, he brought in actual pieces of equipment, flags and stuff, like, into the classroom. Like, he had a jacket from the 101st Airborne Drop Division. Like, that was cool. He had a helmet from a guy who had been sniped, which is kind of morbid, but, like, he had the helmet from somebody who had actually served. He even had a, like, this is gonna sound crazy, he had a Nazi flag, like, a legitimate one, that someone had taken when they had taken Berlin. They went to a kind of like a consulate building, and they took one home as a souvenir, and he bought it. And so it was literally a Nazi flag hung by Nazis in, like, one of their headquarters. And like the flag itself and the symbolism itself, obviously it doesn't approve of that, but like the fact that we had a piece of history was so cool, and it helps make it so much more real when you're learning about it. So I honestly get what Kara's talking about. I genuinely think if I had an opportunity to collect some relics from the past, I would absolutely do so. I don't know if I could, like, I don't want to make a house a museum, but like, I like that idea, the sentimental value that comes with something like that. Kara looks at me strangely.
Are you a treasure hunter too?
No.
But you sought out experts dedicated to history?
Something like that. It was less me seeking that out and more of a requirement I had to fulfill. Kara looks skeptical, but doesn't pry. And now I talk to Amelia about her theory about the woman. I approach Amelia. So, that theory you mentioned in the temple about the woman, what was it? Amelia glances at me.
Given the location and circumstances previously described by Elder Issam, my estimation is that the unknown woman you encountered was a projected image of the fire elemental. Of course, as I could not observe her myself, I cannot be certain.
Weird. Do you think that's why she wouldn't talk back? Also, why wouldn't she just show up in person?
The amount of energy needed to sustain just an appearance of the elemental would have drained the temple completely. There would have been no energy left for her to give to you.
Is that why she disappeared right after?
The depletion of energy in the temple would have meant she'd no longer be sustained in this world.
Crap, so I banished her out of this world without meaning to. Amelia looks thoughtful.
Although, it is quite unusual that she would have you absorb the energy to begin with.
I see. I had a feeling that was her. Yeah, I think that I had a feeling. I had a sneaky suspicion that was her. I mean, who else could it have been? Amelia nods.
It pleases me that you too have reached the same conclusion.
Thanks. She looks thoughtful.
Still, it is quite perplexing that she would only reveal herself to you.
It's not just me, and the Pongo saw her too. I think. He didn't really make it clear if he was seeing her, or if it was just the fox thing.
The Guardian.
Huh?
The fox would be the guardian of the fire temple. Each temple has its own guardian who protects it.
Oh, so how come the Guardian didn't attack us for breaking into the temple?
We did not break in. The guardian enforces the trial in the temple. Only those who are able to complete the trials are welcome into the temple.
In that case, the magic fire we had to put our stuff in? Amelia nods, is still deep in thought. Are you still trying to figure out why no one else could see the elemental? She nods again. Any theories?
As of now, I do not have one. But perhaps after some further research.
Yeah, I don't know. Her voice trails off as she falls back into deep thought. Kara, Zach, and Amelia lead the way back to Ember Mist, while I lag behind. The Pongo sits on my head. Liana notices my absence and falls into step with me. Oh, that's kind of her. She pats the Pongo, who ignores her, still too focused on the energy around me. Liana pouts, then shakes away the Pongo's disregard of her and focuses her attention on me.
Something on your mind?
Everything. I dropped my voice low so the others can't hear me. Now that I've collected the energy from the temple, that means I can try and create a temporal rift to go back home, right? Kara stops and whirls around to face us. Zach and Amelia stop with her. Gosh darn it!
Pardon me, you were speaking very softly and it was a little hard to hear, but it sounded like you just said you need to open a temporal rift to go back home?
Alright, woman, what is your deal?
But that can't be right, can it?
Jeez, this woman's got some supersonic hearing. I'm glad it's Leanna who looks alarmed. About that. Kara's smile falters at my hesitance, but Amelia looks excited.
I knew it. My hypothesis is correct.
Yeah, fetch.
Hypothesis? What hypothesis?
Yeah, she's been on to us.
My hypothesis that he is from a parallel world.
Leanna's eyes grow wide as she forces a panicked smile.
I think all this parallel world and temporal rift talk has been getting to you. I mean, Elder Isum said it's impossible.
He has already admitted it.
What? Leanna and I've been careful not to say anything. When?
The day of our acquaintance.
Also, when you say that? I rack my brain and I don't remember bringing that up around Amelia.
You sought out Professor Xavier's guidance, and after he imparted his advice, you and Leanna had a brief discussion in which you mentioned that what he had suggested was exactly what happened to you.
We weren't careful.
Thus began my hypothesis that you arrived from a parallel world.
Bitch. Leanna looks at me, unsure how to react. What's with all these eavesdroppers? Does nobody understand the word privacy around here? You all have a problem with eavesdropping.
It's not eavesdropping if you're speaking loud enough for me to hear.
You were freaking out.
Do not change the subject at hand.
Leanna sighs.
She already knows.
Not from Terra, huh?
Zach looks me up and down, then nods to himself.
That's a lot better than the alternative.
What's the alternative? What is the...
That you might be... unique.
What does that even mean?
Zach!
He shrugs.
He didn't even know what a discharger was. At least if he's from another world, that explains why he didn't know these things.
What did you say it was special? Yeah. Kara looks skeptical.
How did he get here?
There have been unexplainably high concentrations of energy popping up throughout Isaria, and he happened to show up at one of those areas. We went to the Mage Academy to get some answers, and that's how we came up with the possibility that the high energy readings were temporal rifts, and somehow he had traveled through one.
Yep, falling asleep in New York.
Why or how those rifts were even opened, we still don't know.
But if they're the only way for me to get back home, then I have to try to open one. Kara shrugs.
Let's just make sure you attempt to open one far away from where I'm standing.
That might be tricky considering no one knows how to open one. We may need to talk to Elder Isum.
Yep.
That won't be necessary. I know how to do so already.
Why aren't you convenient? We'll stare at her. What? How do you know that?
The directions are located in Elder Isum's old research notes, which I had gathered from the Academy. The spell itself is a simple conjuration, which even an amateur could do.
Are you sure about that? I mean, what? An amateur can open a temporal rift? Then why isn't everyone doing it?
The impossibility of the spell comes from the fact that the human body cannot manipulate the amount of energy needed for it.
Oh, so we're gonna cast it. She pauses and points to me.
He may be an exception.
I squirm slightly as their gazes fall on me.
Given that you have absorbed energy directly from the temple, which should also be an impossibility, I must assume that there is something within you which can possess the high amount of magic without suffering consequences.
Okay.
Perhaps it is a skill which you acquired from your world.
My world doesn't have magic. Amelia blinks.
Regardless, only a short amount of time has passed. There is plenty of time for you to still internally combust.
Yeah, right. A wave of unease makes my stomach queasy. Maybe I should open this rift now before it has a chance to happen. Amelia grins with excitement.
I concur with that suggestion.
That may be the best now that you have the magic.
Zach shrugs and Kara takes a look at our open surroundings.
Maybe we should first look for a spot with a bit more cover. We don't want to be opening up rifts on an open pathway.
Good point.
There was some tree cover towards the west.
We mumble our affirmations and follow Zach towards the trees. I mean, it can't be over now, though, right? We settle into the grove of trees, both Leanna and Amelia standing on either side of me. Zach selects a tree far enough away not to be affected by these stray magic, but close enough to get a good view of what's going on. Kara, on the other hand, hangs out back towards the outskirts of the trees. Zach looks back at her and amuses a smile on his lips.
You'll miss the show from back there. You sure you don't want to come any closer?
Kara's voice is distant.
Yep.
There's a bit of movement. She takes another step back behind the tree. She's so closer to her. That'd be like, Kara, come here, give me a hug. You sure you're okay back there?
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just keeping watch.
Oh, making sure no one accidentally stumbles upon us.
Something like that.
Sure. Amelia studies the notes, then nods to herself and snaps the book shut.
The casting is quite simple. It is the same technique as any other cast.
Which we've never done before. Leanna looks at me.
Are you ready?
I nod. Amelia glances at my stance, then frowns.
Your stance is incorrect. Straighten your spine.
Sorry. I lengthen my spine and stand as straight as I can.
Now you are too tense. Keep yourself relaxed, but do not slump.
Okay. I relax. I release some of the tension in my back. She's about to speak again, but Leanna gently pulls Amelia to the side.
Okay, I think he gets it.
She steps in front of me, gives me an encouraging smile.
Your stance is fine. Just remember to raise your arms in front of you.
I do as she says, and she nods.
Now, the actual casting part is gonna sound tricky. You'll need to focus your mind on the spell you want to cast.
This is gonna go great. So I should just think about temporal rifts?
Yes, but you need to connect that thought with the magical energy.
Uh-huh.
Clear your mind of every thought.
Great. Close my eyes and push away all the doubts and confusion and focus on Leanna's voice.
Now, think about the rift that you wish to create.
I imagine tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. Don't actually know what the rift would look like. All I remember is a bright light. Should I focus on that light?
At the same time, sense for the magic within you.
This is the part I'm skeptical about. Try to sense for any kind of magic, but nothing feels out of the ordinary. How do I know where the magic is?
It'll feel like a tendril or willing warmth. When you find it, reach out for it and grab hold. The magic is eager to be used and will latch on.
I wish women were more like magic. Focus on what she's saying. Focus on what she's saying. This is so abstract, but I know I can do it. I just have to focus. I turn within to regulate my breathing, sounding very similar to meditation, so perhaps using the same technique will yield results. As my breathing becomes slow and steady, I open my senses for any indication of another presence.
Once you find the magic, connect your thoughts of the rift with the magic, and then channel both the magic and the thoughts through your hands to cast it in the open.
I continue sensing, hoping to find even a hint of warmth, but how do I know if it's just my own warmth or the magic? Sweat beads on my temples as I strain to cast, but nothing happens. Eventually my eyes grow weary, my mind is exhausted. I decompress with a sigh. It didn't work.
It's okay, we can try again. People aren't usually able to cast on their first try.
Eventually groan. The idea of doing that again does not thrill me. There must still be something I'm missing.
It just takes some getting used to. Plus, you're trying to cast without a manipulator.
Oh yeah, both you and Amelia use manipulators to cast. Maybe that's why I wasn't able to do it.
Well, the manipulator's function is to house the energy source for us to cast with. Technically, because you already have the energy within you, you shouldn't need a manipulator.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But this is all theory anyway. It may be easier trying to cast using a crystal, especially for a first-time caster.
Regardless, there could be a multitude of factors for why this attempt was not successful. One for which could be as simple as the fact that you still did not possess enough energy to open the rift.
Well, here's the thing. Why can't I cast a simple spell that takes very little energy just to see if I can actually get that part down? Then I at least have something to work with. I mean, it sounds like we're working with like near atomic levels of energy needed for this special spell. I feel like that shouldn't be Baby's first spell. Should the temple have had enough?
Theoretically, perhaps, but a significant portion of the energy was already being used to sustain the elemental's image. She was able to transfer what was left of the energy to you, which from my readings was only 20% of the total energy in the temple when we started.
Well, that's very inefficient. Suddenly, Kara is standing right behind us, as cheerful as ever.
That sounds like you all still need to explore some more temples.
I jump at our presence. Even Leanna and Amelia seem surprised to see her so close. Only Zach seems as unaffected. How did you get here so fast? She grins at me.
Am I wrong?
Pongo jumps out of Kara's arms and hops into mine.
Boy!
I pat him on the head and he wiggles contentedly, licking the air around me.
So it could be that he doesn't know how to cast, or that he doesn't have enough energy.
Or both.
Sure, but what does that mean for you all in terms of next steps? Are you going to hang out in Ember Mist until he learns how to cast?
It could take him weeks before he can even cast the simplest of spells. That is quite a long time to rely on someone else's hospitality.
So either we go looking for more temples or we just go back to Hogwarts.
It sounds like it would still be in your best interest to visit at least one more temple just to be sure you have enough energy. You can teach him how to cast on the way, so by the time he gets there, he'll be ready to go.
That looks thoughtful.
That does seem like the better option than the alternative.
Well, if it's the fastest way to get me back home, then I'm not opposed to having all of our bases covered. Amelia nods.
That is the most efficient course of action. If we can mitigate any uncertain factors, then we can pinpoint where the weakness is and adjust accordingly for a successful cast.
Okay.
The research this will provide will be very informative.
Sure. Hearing Amelia's affirmation, Zack shrugs.
Since I'm here to protect Amelia, I go where she goes.
Kara smiles broadly and slings her arm around Zack and Amelia, much to their dismay.
Great. Then our arrangement is still on.
Hey!
Zack moves out of Kara's grasp. She smirks.
Most men would be thrilled to have a pretty woman hug them. Right, Amelia?
That is correct. A healthy physique is inherently attractive for potential mates.
Yeah, so dry. Kara lets go and starts to lead the way out of the forest.
We should spend the night in Umber Mist. We can plan our next steps there.
Sweet. Once we are in agreement, we follow Kara back to Evermist. Upon arriving, we head to the inn.
We can spend the night here. I'll meet you back down in the lobby in a few minutes.
Okay. She ventures upstairs while we secure 2 rooms with the innkeeper. As we receive our keys, Amelia excuses herself.
I wish to seek an audience with Elder Issam and continue our discussion. I would be remiss to let such an opportunity pass.
It makes sense. He seems like a good guy, but maybe we'll keep the fact that I'm not here from here a secret.
Yes, that is something in which we are in agreement.
I'm glad that now you're willing to keep it a secret. Oh, okay. She nods and leaves the inn. The decor in the inn is very similar to Elder Issam's hut. Pillows and rugs lying on the ground as a few people sit cross-legged in front of the fire. A few tables on the other side of the lobby, all of which are empty. In fact, aside from a couple of people chatting by the fire, this place is very empty. I mean, you know what happens when you have a place that most people don't think is real. Once I sit down, I feel fatigue pass over me, but I try to shake it off. Guess they didn't see too many visitors here.
For a city that's supposed to be so secret, that's not surprising. It's more surprising that they have an inn.
That's a good point. How did they keep this place open? I nod and stifle a yawn. We sit at the table as Zack orders us dinner. In a few minutes, Kara returns.
Where's Amelia?
Oh, she went to speak with Elder Issam. She nods. My eyelids droop as I'm stifling yawns every few minutes. My limbs feel like lead weights, and it's taking all my effort to sit upright. After I let out a wide yawn, Liana glances over at me.
Maybe you should go to bed. We're winding down anyway, so it'd be a good idea to get some rest.
I nod blearily. That sounds really good right now. I guess I'm absorbing all that energy really takes it out of you, huh? Liana smiles at my joke.
It would seem so.
Night. Regardless, I'm grateful for the excuse to leave. I trot upstairs, fumble with the key before opening the door, then I fall into one of the 2 twin cots and pass out as soon as my head hits the pillow. Interesting. I'll have to chew on this episode. But I think that's a good place for us to end, just because, I mean, it's a little shorter than usual, but a lot happened, and, like, frankly, I think it feels too much like a solid ending place, so we're gonna keep it here for now. Anyway, I guess what do you think about that episode this time? Like, there's a lot of unknowns we're toying around with. I feel like they're almost a little too flippant considering, like, the disastrous things that could go wrong. I mean, I'm guessing if I were Elder Issam and I heard even the concept of trying to open a temporal rift, I'd be like, well, hang on a second. I mean, the amount of energy you're dealing with there, like, if something goes wrong, that's like detonating a bomb. Of course, you don't know what a bomb is. But, you know, magical energy explosion. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So, I'd be very, very cautious if I were them, because it feels like we're tampering with powers that are far beyond, like, the typical. I really hope we can learn magic. That'd be so cool. Oh, man. I have a feeling that we're not going to want to go back home when this is all over. But, whatever. And I think highlight of the day was when I clicked, like, I put my waifu, and he's just like, I don't have a... Sadly, I don't have a waifu. And he looks at Liana. Yet. So creepy. Oh, it was good. It was good. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much. This game always makes me smile, and that's one of the best parts about it. So I'm glad you're here enjoying it with me. And, let's just continue forward and see what else we can learn. It's a very interesting, very cute story. Like, that's really what it is. It's not like it's super, like, in depth and super dire and super crazy. It's cute, and that's fine. We need that every once in a while. So, I can't wait to continue next week, but I'm also very ready to close up shop and relax and get ready for this trip. Oh, I hate flying. Like, I love flying, but I hate being on a plane. Because, like, not only am I a big person, but I'm also tall. So, like, I just barely fit in a plane. And it's very cramped. And so I'm going to be having a rough time of it. Oh, well. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for spending time with me on the channel. As always, being part of this community it's so wonderful to have you here. I look forward to hearing you guys talk. Remember, if you haven't, check out the Discord channel. It's a good place to chat with me directly. Also a good place to catch me if you want to join me for some like live streams or future podcasts. Like I do community podcasts at the end of each episode of each series. So when this one concludes, I hope you are able to participate in that with me. But that's all for you to discover. So once again, link in the description. Check it out. And until the next video you watch with me, whatever you see me in next, I'll see you there.